Hey TPT sellers, it's Mike Fuchigami. I'm the host of the SEO Tpreneur YouTube community. In today's TPT SEO secret video, we're going to look at the secret popularity rank that boosts or pulls down our TPT products. Now in TPT land, there's a little bit of a conversation about conversion rate and whether or not that impacts our TPT SEO. Before researching for this video, I would have said that, yeah, conversion rate's probably a big factor for TPT SEO. Now, I'm not so sure. In this video, I'm gonna walk through some of the hidden data statistics that TPT keeps count of. Those features are probably bigger influences on TPT SEO. Conversion rate, or the sold rate, is basically the number of units sold divided by the number of page views. If you have 100 page views and 5 people buy your product, then you have a 5% conversion rate. In this video, we're gonna see how it's not actually the conversion rate, it's this hidden number that measures your product popularity for specific search terms that's influencing your search position. By the way, right now I am running a $100 TPT gift card giveaway. It's for TPT sellers who play a game that I made. If you're interested, go check out the Facebook group. If you search up TPT SEO, you'll find the one by SEO Tpreneur. And there's a post that looks like this that explains more about the $100 gift card giveaway, which ends on August 31st, 2024. This video is for TPT hamsters and above, because I firmly believe that if you're a TPT tadpole and you're still trying to figure out your niche, the bigger impact on your game is keyword selection. Once you find those niche unicorns, that's what I call a keyword that is higher in search volume and lower in competition. They're rare like a unicorn. Once you've set up your keyword and you've optimized your product for those keywords, then the game becomes, well, what kind of metrics are you trying to get more of so that you boost your TPT ranking? There are some strategies in here that some of the big sellers are using, like encouraging their subscribers to wishlist a resource, take a screenshot, and share that for a chance to win a prize. We'll see why wishlisting might give you a temporary boost in the search rankings. First, I'm going to talk about what the TPT SEO manual says, and this feature is called dynamic re-ranking. This is what lets a search engine keep up with viral trends or seasonal keywords, like solar eclipse. The second thing I'll talk about is I'll summarize the theory with some TPT SEO takeaways. And then the last thing I'll talk about is I'll show you how you can look at your data to test this theory about whether conversion rate is as big of a deal as we think it might be. We can do that by looking at our product stats for the last week, as opposed to the lifetime of your products. In this weekly Sunday series, we dive into the TPT SEO manual. They use a search company called Algolia. Check out the playlist at the top and I'll walk you through the first 8 episodes. Today in episode 9, we're going to look at conversion rate, which is really covered under this feature called dynamic re-ranking. So the TPT search algorithm ranks all of our resources, and then at the very end, it changes up the ranking based on how popular or attractive a product is on TPT search. How do I know that TPT is using dynamic re-ranking? Because Algolia published a customer story about how TPT uses their search software. And if I scroll down, it talks about the features that TPT search uses. Namely, they use the rules, they use personalization, which may or may not be what we think it is. They use dynamic synonym suggestions. And then here we have dynamic re-ranking, which is powered by Algolia AI. Dynamic re-ranking is an Algolia feature that uses AI to find trends in your users' behaviors based on the search query and the position of the result that they click or convert. TPT search can improve your relevance by boosting results that are rising in popularities. So what this means is based on the specific search phrase that teachers are typing into TPT and the position of your product where it shows up on the TPT search page, depending on whether the teacher searching your product clicks on your resource or converts it, which means they do a conversion action later on. And a conversion action might be things like previews or wish listing or adding to cart or purchasing. Those are all conversion actions likely. So if a teacher does one of those conversion actions, or if they click on your search result, the TPT search algorithm learns that, hey, this is popular. This resource is attractive to teacher buyers. Let's show it more. And that's how the TPT search algorithm can find popular resources or things that are going viral. But the search manual also says that dynamic re-ranking can also demote results that aren't relevant to your users in the context of a particular query. So everything we talk about in today's video is based on a specific search term that teachers are using. If teachers are looking for back to school worksheet and your product is going viral, it's only going viral for that search term. This re-ranking boost is search specific. So if you get a boost on one search term, it doesn't mean that you're going to get a boost on another search term. Dynamic re-ranking kicks in after the search engine has computed your results' textual relevance and has applied your custom ranking. By textual relevance, they mean the first 7 episodes of this series, where we talk about things like typo and words and proximity to figure out if your product is related to what the teacher is searching for. That's textual relevance. And then rule number 8 is your custom ranking with your business metrics like sales, page views, ratings, stuff like that. The manual goes on to say that re-ranking can override rules that boost and bury categories. We haven't talked about how TPT can set up custom rules to prevent certain products from showing. One time I heard that TPT sellers were concerned that you had products showing up on the first page that had no covers. I believe that TPT can set up rules that say things like, if you don't have a custom cover uploaded, you can't show up on the first page. And I think there might be rules that prevent free resources from showing up at the very top of search under certain circumstances. The TPT search engine applies the relevant strategies in this order. So the teacher types in a search term, and then the TPT the TPT does the textual ranking criteria. This screenshot comes from one of the Algolia YouTube videos. The first 7 rules are the textual ranking criteria: typo, geography, words, filters, proximity, attributes, and exact match. And that 8th rule is the custom variables. So that's the business relevance data that individual businesses have. And that's what the TPT SEO game that I talked about last video is trying to simulate. So based on this invisible TPT SEO score, we can rank the products in terms of business priority. We don't know the exact formula that TPT is doing. We can only guess at what are large influencing factors. So teacher is searching for a phrase. The first step is textual ranking criteria, the first 7 rules. The second step is to do business relevance. So it sorts the results based on TPT's secret sauce. The third rule is personalization. If they've enabled it and the search engine has enough information to personalize results for a particular user. This is turned off right now, but if you're logged in and you're searching for specific keywords, TPT is able to detect patterns. This is kind of like how Netflix suggests, because you watch this video, you'll probably like these videos. That's personalization. Then the fourth thing that happens is TPT might boost or bury certain categories, and they can do that with custom rules. We'll talk about that in a future episode. And then here's what we're talking about today. This is the 5th step, which is dynamic re-ranking. And then after dynamic re-ranking happens, specific resources might be promoted or pushed down based on hard-coded rules. And we'll talk about that more in a future episode. So my question that I'm not entirely sure about, and I'd love to hear your theories, but I'm wondering whether dynamic re-ranking can boost a product past where it would have been based on the tie-breaking groups that we've talked about so far. And I think the answer is yes. Here's why. The manual gives an example about this attractiveness variable. And they give an example about how you can have a simulator re-rank products side by side so you can see how things have changed. And it's really blurry to see here, but they have an example with Lego. And it looks like only the first 20 products are being reshuffled or re-ranked based on this attractiveness feature. There are these faint lines showing where the position should have been and where it ended up on the right-hand side. And it looks like the product from product number 20 jumped up to position number 5 based on this attractiveness score. In the simulator, each record has an attractiveness score per query. This score is the number of events this record received last month compared to other records. And it explains why re-ranking boosts one record over another. So what this means is all of our TPT products have a hidden variable called an attractiveness score that's basically keeping track of the number of times certain events happen within the last 30 days. So what are these events that we're talking about? For a record to be promoted for a given search, our TPT product must have received 20 click events or 2 conversion events after a specific search. Let's say it's grade 3 music worksheet. If your product has been clicked 20 times after people have searched grade 3 music worksheet, or after they search grade 3 music worksheets, if your product gets 2 conversion events, then your record might be promoted. And these events have to happen in the last 30 days. And to prevent people from spamming or manipulating the search results, only 1 click or conversion event is considered per person, per search query, per day. So if you go in and click 300 times, it doesn't matter. If you search up a term and then you look at the preview, that's a conversion event probably. And then you add to wish list, that's another conversion event probably. And then you purchase it, that's probably a third conversion event. Only one of those will count because you're the same user. Cool, right? If this is new information for you, can you please like the video so I know that I should make more of this kind of video? Liking the video sends a signal to the YouTube algorithm that this is important content for TPT sellers, and then it shows it to more TPT sellers, so then the community grows, and then I get excited to make more videos like this. And then because the channel is monetized, YouTube pays around $1 a day, which means I can then put it back into the community by doing giveaways like this, where one of you is going to win a $100 gift card. So if you're not part of that Facebook group.com/group/TPT SEO, go check it out. The $1 million question is, what does TPT search consider to be a click event or a conversion event? Because the TPT search engine sends these click and conversion events to Algolia, and dynamic re-ranking uses this data to detect the trends and re-rank the results based on these trends. I think the first 20 results can be completely shuffled up based on what's trending. Couple things we can learn from the manual. That dynamic re-ranking feature updates and refreshes for each search query every 24 hours. So if you test this theory out, you're not going to see a boost in the TPT search ranking for your product for 24 hours. And the re-ranking takes the last 30 days into account, meaning it's based on a sliding window on the most recent analytics data. So that's why looking at the lifetime product stats may not be the best way to figure out what's influencing TPT SEO. It is, in the sense that those numbers are probably involved in the custom metrics. So TPT SEO rule number 8. But what's even more important is how your product is doing in the last 30 days. Re-ranking can promote up to 20 items with the highest scores matching those criteria per query. So we saw in their example about how the first 20 images get shuffled, and then product number 21, 22, 23, 24, they don't get shuffled based on this re-ranking algorithm. But the manual also gives TPT the option of changing that number. And it says you can increase the number of records re-ranked per query, so per search term, from the default of 20 to 100. There are 24 results per TPT search page, so the first 100 resources could be the top 4 pages. So your guess is as good as mine about whether or not TPT is re-ranking the first 20 or the first 100. And it might not always be 20. That depends on how much attractiveness data or popularity data the engine's able to collect. Because remember, it needs 20 clicks or 2 conversion events. So the manual says that fewer records than the values set here may be re-ranked if dynamic re-ranking doesn't gather significant traffic on enough records. So basically, you must have 20 clicks or 2 conversion events for this ranking boost to happen. The algorithm also gives the option to give extra weight or more importance to recent events as opposed to events closer to 30 days ago. To give more weight to recent events in the ranking computation, TPT can TPT on this feature called the event freshness option. If they don't turn on event freshness, then an event that happened 4 weeks ago affects re-ranking the same way as an event that happened yesterday. My guess is that TPT has turned on this feature because recent sales seem to be a bigger factor than sales from a while ago. Enabling event freshness better handles seasonality, which is what we see in a teacher marketplace, and it deals better with shorter search trends. It's actually hard for us to know what kind of sales we made 4 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago without looking at the data. So keep watching till the end of this video, because I'm going to show you a resource that lets us look at exactly how many sales we made in the last day or the last week or the last month or the last year. So what are events? Events are actions that users take on the TPT website. Specifically, dynamic re-ranking uses 4 events. There's an event called click object IDs after search. I think object ID is your product ID, which is the last 8 or 9 digits at the end of your product URL. If a teacher does a search and then your search result shows up and they click on it, then that would send this event called clicked object ID after search, and it would count as a click. The next 3 events count as conversions. There's something called converted object IDs after search. A converted object IDs after search is if they land on your product page after they search for a phrase, and then maybe they click on product preview or they click on add to wish list. Those are probably conversion events. If the teacher adds your product to the cart after landing on your product page from doing a search, that sends an event to the TPT search engine called added to cart object ID after search, and that counts as a conversion. And by conversion, I mean conversion event to the search algorithm. I don't mean conversion as in the way that we normally see in our product stats, which is conversion rate or sold rate. Finally, if they end up buying the product, it sends a signal to the search algorithm and it sets an event called purchase object ID after search. And remember, object ID is probably your product ID. Let's summarize the TPT SEO takeaways from diving deep into the TPT search manual. If 20 different people click on your product listing when it shows up in TPT search in the last 30 days, or if 2 people do a conversion action, and the conversion events are probably look at the preview, PDF or video, doesn't matter. Look at the preview, adding the resource to the wish list, adding the resource to a cart, or purchasing. Those are probably all conversion events. So if you have 20 click events or 2 conversion events after a specific search term in the past 30 days, then your product is eligible for this ranking boost because it seems popular. That ranking boost updates every 24 hours. So this is probably every night at midnight. It just recalculates the dynamic re-ranking for all the search terms. And that re-ranking boost is specific to the search phrase. If I type grade 7 grammar and someone else types 7th grade grammar, those are 2 separate search phrases. The ranking boost will be different depending on which products seem popular. To prevent people from spamming this, it only counts 1 event per user per day. Have you learned something new in today's video? If the answer is yes, I need your help to do a little experiment. So to test the theory we've been talking about, I need people to search TPT seller on TPT, click on my ultimate bundle, and watch the preview video. So I go to Teachers Pay Teachers, I search for TPT seller. Even though my store shows up there, don't click on the store. Search TPT seller by hitting enter, and then it shows a bunch of results by default with this grid view, which now means that TPT search is placing more importance on that first cover than anything else. And that first cover is all about sales psychology. So if you scroll down on this first page, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Here I am, TPT seller tips and tricks, ultimate bundle. If you click on this resource and then watch the video, then I think this will help with the attractiveness score of this resource for that specific search term, TPT seller. And we won't see a change today, but if enough people do it today, then tomorrow there should be a boost in the ranking. And then 30 days from today, I should drop back into position 11. In theory though, if you get that boost to position 10 or position 9 or position 8, then you get seen by more people, and then maybe more people are buying it. And so then that snowball continues. Now, I think this is a strategy used by some of the larger TPT stores because people have shown me email newsletters where the seller invites people to check out their new product and add it to a wish list. And even if they don't buy it, they still enter their promotion or giveaway for their product. So this is something that's known in TPT land. And hopefully this video explains some of the theory behind what might be happening. If you do the experiment, can you leave a comment below? Just because I'm curious to see what happens. And you can do this experiment whether you've bought the ultimate bundle or not, because watching the preview is something that everyone can do. Now let's take what we've learned about this dynamic re-ranking theory and see if we can see evidence of this re-ranking looking at our product stats for the last 7 days. Last week, I showed you this TPT SEO search algorithm game. Thank you to everyone who's played with it so far and shared their scorecard on the Facebook group. Today, I published an advanced version of this game where we can upload a product stats CSV file from today and another one from a week ago. And the spreadsheet will calculate your product stats for the last 7 days instead of the lifetime of your product. When I looked at my data, I was able to realize, hey, my Facebook ad campaign seems to be working. I couldn't tell before I used this tool. The other cool thing about the advanced feature is that we can upload our sales data for the last year, and the spreadsheet will figure out how many sales we've made today and yesterday, or the last week, or the last month, or the last year, because we're looking for patterns and trends and outliers. You can submit either scorecard, either the basic game TPT seller tip number 15, or the advanced game TPT seller tip number 16. Either scorecard counts. You're only allowed one entry per person, regardless of how many images you submit. But it's a pretty cool game, so let me show you how it works. I might just go to my TPT seller store, and for the featured resources here, I can see the free game. So if I click on the free game and I scroll down, there's now a link to the advanced version, TPT seller tip number 16, which looks like this. It's free for now, but eventually this will become a paid resource because it unlocks a new way of looking at our data. So I'm going to click on download. There's the PDF. I'm going to click on the blue smoothie update. Google's going to ask me to make a copy, so I'm going to click make a copy. Now this tool requires access to the internet, so please make sure you read the terms of service. It has to contact the TPT website, and it uses some automated ways to download your 20 bestseller resources on your store page. If I scroll down on this first page, there are instructions about how to upload the product stats into the game board tab, how to get your 20 bestsellers, how to upload an older TPT product stats file into the game board B tab. You don't have to do anything extra to get the 20 bestsellers again. It talks about how the game board B shows you the product stats for a specific time period. Step 6 talks about how to upload your sales data. And then 7 shows you how to look at your sales data for your bestsellers. Step 8 is about playing the game. And then step 9 is about checking out the screenshot tabs. So I'm going to walk us through this, and I'm going to point out some things that I discovered about my own data. So yes, trying to come up with a better understanding of how the search algorithm works is helpful, because then it's something to keep in the back of your mind as you're creating your product titles or typing up your product descriptions. But the point of looking at data is to discover new strategies or hidden gems or things about your resources that you didn't fully appreciate before. So I'm going to show you how to do that. The very first thing I'm going to do is at step 1, I'm going to click on this link to go to the product stats page. In the pop-up link, I'm going to click on that. That's going to take me to TPT. I'm going to click the download button to get my product stats CSV file. I'm going to save it to my computer, but I'm also going to add today's date, which is 2024-08-04. Let's hit enter. Now in my Google Sheet, at the very bottom, there's a tab that says Game Board. So I'm going to click on that. And if I scroll down, there's a yellow cell here, C31. I'm going to click in this yellow cell. And then in the top menu, I'm going to click on File. And then I'm going to click on Import. I'll click on Upload. I'll click on Browse, and then I will find my product stats CSV file, and I will click on Open. And as it loads, a new window pops up. I'm going to change the import location by clicking the triangle to show some options, and I'm going to choose the bottom one, replace data at the selected cell, because we're replacing the yellow selected cell. And then I click the green Import Data button, and it's loaded my product stats CSV file. Now, in the pink cell beside it, I have to put the date of the product stats CSV file. I just downloaded it, so today is August 4th, 2024, and I'll hit enter. Now, the advanced Google Sheet tool that we're using, it needs to have the date of the two product stats CSV files to figure out how many days apart they are. I now need to get my store website address. Here's my store website address. I'm going to copy the top link, Control C. I'm going to go into the Google Sheet. Now, in this yellow cell, D1, I can't just paste in the link like I normally do, because sometimes Google Sheet tries to help me out by making it look pretty and converting it into the name of my store as a clickable link. And that's not what we want. We want the full proper link. So to force it, I'm going to right click. I'm going to click on Paste Special. And then I'm going to click on Values Only. And I should get something that says https://www.teacherspayteachers.com. Now, this Google Sheet needs permission to access the internet. In this top warning bar on the right-hand side, there's a button that says Allow Access. If I click on that, it's now loaded my top 20 resources. And beside it, it's put my product stats CSV file with the lifetime stats. I don't want the lifetime stats. I want the last 7 days. So if I go to the Start Here instructions, I've done step 2 to get my 20 bestsellers. Now I'm going to upload an older TPT product stats file from last week when I recorded this video. If you don't have an older file, no problem. You've got today's products.csv file, and then if you wait a week, next week you can download a products.csv file. That'll be a week apart, and then just watch this video next week. But I have an older products.csv file, so I'm going to click on the Game Board B worksheet tab at the bottom, which is exactly the same, except if I scroll down, it doesn't have a products.csv file yet, and then it has this blue box for me to put in the date of this file. So I'm going to click in this yellow spot, just like last time, cell C31. I'm going to click on the File menu, Import. I'm going to click on Upload. I'm going to click on Browse. And now I have to go find my old products.csv file. As you can see, I have a bunch. Last Sunday was July 28th. Here's the July 28th file. And then I'm going to click on Open. I'm going to change the import location by clicking the down triangle, and I'm going to choose Replace Data at Selected Cell. I'm going to click the green Import Data button. And in this blue cell, I'm going to type July 28th, 2024. And now at the very top, it now says my data is from Sunday, July 28th, 2024 to Sunday, August 4th, 2024. And then below it, it says the last 7 days. And if I scroll up, my values have changed completely. For example, the reading strategy page has been seen 183 times in the last 7 days. If I go to the first game board and scroll up to the top, it says here that it's been seen 53,497 times. And that's because that's the lifetime stats of your products.csv file. So game board B lets me see what's actually happening with my best sellers in the last week. I'm going to click on View, and I'm going to click on Full Screen just to make it a little bit bigger. And what I see here happening is in my back to school goal setting activity, in the last 7 days, I've got 1,400 page views. And that's because I'm paying for Facebook ads. I'm buying traffic at around 15 cents per click to go to this product because I'm trying something different this August. I'm trying to get $8,000 in sales. Will it happen? No idea. But if you watch some of the other videos this month, you can follow the journey, and I'll spend the money so that you don't have to spend the money on Facebook ads, and we'll learn together about what's working or what's not working for me. And it doesn't matter if it works for me or doesn't work for me, because you'll have to tinker if you end up doing Facebook ads in order to get it to work with your products. There's a lot of tinkering with ads. But this was really reassuring for me because I wasn't making a lot of sales. Like my earnings this week was $54. Oh, I've got 2 votes. I didn't realize that, but the rating hasn't changed because the 2 votes weren't enough to change it. But I got 2 votes this week. And over here, I can see that my units sold, I sold 18 of those units this week. So even though my reading strategy product has made $79, $80 in earnings, and my back to school goal setting resource has only made $54 in earnings, the back to school goal setting activity is showing up higher. Now, some of us are thinking that the conversion rate is the biggest factor for TPT SEO. And I used to think that too. I'm not convinced of that anymore right now. Conversion rate is the number of units sold. Above the letter M, there's a plus sign. And I can see for this collaboration activity, it sold 5 times. It's been viewed 39 times. So the conversion rate of that product is 12.8%. So if it was based purely on conversion rate, this collaboration resource should be at the top of my resources, but it's not. So there must be something else that's boosting some of the other resources, and that might be this attractiveness feature about whether or not this resource has sold in the past day or 2 versus the past week versus the past month. So we can actually see that by uploading our sales data. If I scroll to the right-hand side, all the way to the right-hand side, there's this new section beside this hypothetical SEO score section, which I talked about last week. There's this new section that talks about points for recent sales, and right now it's 0. Did it sell yesterday? It says false because it doesn't know. And then the earnings and the units sold, it's all 0 because I haven't uploaded my sales data. But I'm going to upload my sales data now so you can see how cool it is. We can actually see which of our resources are selling within the last week or the last 30 days. So in the start here instructions, I'm now on step 6. I'm going to upload my sales data CSV for the past year. There's a link to go to the sales report page, and if I hover over it, a link pops up, so I'm going to click on that. This takes me to my sales report page, and I'm going to change the date. Today is August 4th, 2024. That's the end date, the start date is going to be the exact same day, August 4th, but instead of 2024, I'm going to make it 2023, and then I'm going to hit apply. And then that reloaded my data. So that has my data for a year of sales. And on the right-hand side, there's a button that says download full report. So I'm going to click on that. And then TPT will pop up this blue window that says it may take up to 10 minutes to generate your report. You'll receive an email. If you go into your email account for your TPT store, and in Gmail, it's hiding under this promotions tab, there should be an email that says your sales detail report is ready. When you click on that, there'll be a green button that lets you go to the report, and it'll take you back to TPT, and just double check that it says report generated for today's date, August 4th, for a year ago, 2023 to 2024. And then I click the green download report button. I'm going to save it to my computer. I'm going to go back to my Google Sheet, and at the bottom, there's a tab that says sales data. Now this one, I click on the yellow cell at the very, very top. It says edge circles here, but that'll get wiped out in a second. So I click on this top yellow cell. I've zoomed in and I can't see the menu button, so I'm just going to hit the escape key. So now I have my menus again. I click file, I click import, I click upload, I click browse, find your sales report. Now this time it's slightly different. For import location, I'm going to click the down triangle to open up the menu, and I'm going to replace current sheet. So I'm going to replace this entire sheet, and then I'm going to click import data. And now it's replaced this entire sheet with the new fresh sales data. This information is private. It's only in your Google Sheet. I don't have access to this file. No one has access to this file unless you click on that share button. If I hover over the share button, it says private to only me. And if I click down that share button, you can see who has access to this information. So no one has access to this information except for you. Now that I've uploaded my sales data, I'm going to click on Game Board B. I'm going to click on View Full Screen just to make it a little bit bigger. And now I can see how many units were sold today. Above the AP column, there's a plus sign that lets me expand it. Just so I can confirm, it says the last known sale date. So when was the most recent sale? It has the order ID in case I wanted to look that up. And then it says days since last sale. So my back to school goal setting activity sold today. So that's why it's 0 days. And my reading strategy comprehension bundle sold today as well, 0 days. But in terms of trying to guess the algorithm, in terms of points, I did it as 365 days minus the days since the last sales, because you should get more points if it's sold today. So let's just close that pop-up window. In the next column, it talks about whether or not it's sold today. This is where I think there's a freshness value if your resources sell, where we might get a boost. Oh yeah, it's sold today. I can see that there are these true factors here. Is that the only thing influencing TPT? Maybe not, because down here on my 14th bestseller on my store page, I have this artificial intelligence resource that sold today, as well as my growth mindset life skills resource, and that sold today. So just because it sold today didn't automatically boost it to the top, but I'm looking for patterns and outliers to try to figure out why that might be. Above this section where it says earnings today, there's a little plus sign above the AU. And if I click on that, I can now see, okay, this back to school goal setting activity, did it sell today? Yes. Did it sell in the last 7 days? Yes. Did it sell in the last 30 days? Yes. Has it sold in the last 365 days? Yes, because it sold today. But I can see, for example, my citizenship debate, it didn't sell today, it didn't sell this week, but it sold within the last month. I'm looking for patterns like, oh, this resource hasn't sold at all. This get to know you worksheet, oh, these are all false because it's free. So it'll never qualify for a sale. But my smart goal setting lesson, I thought that was doing better, but it hasn't sold in the last week. This everything bundle, it hasn't sold at all in the last 30 days. So maybe I might want to see why that is. But it has sold in the last 365 days. I'm going to close that panel. In column 8U, it says the earnings today. So I know that earnings alone isn't necessarily, I'm looking for outliers, things like I would expect earnings to be a big factor in TPT search. But this back to school goal setting activity has made $12 today. The reading strategy bundle today made $20. So why isn't the reading bundle higher? Well, if I use my keyboard left and right buttons, and I'm looking to see what's different, well, the back to school goal setting activity has 2 votes, but that's within the last 7 days because that's for your products.csv file. Well, what else is different? My back to school goal setting activity has been wish listed 38 times, which is way more than the reading strategy mega bundle. It's also been previewed 488 times. So maybe previews and wish listing, maybe those things are just way more important than earnings because they're conversion events. So in the re-ranking stuff that we've talked about today, it's probably product previews, wish listing, and units sold that matter as opposed to the actual earnings, which surprises me. Above the letter AY, there's another plus sign. And if I open it up, I can see the earnings for the last 7 days, the earnings for the last 30 days, the earnings for the last year. And if I had to guess, I think there's a freshness impact. So maybe earnings for the last 365 days, maybe that's only worth a factor of 1. And maybe earnings for the last 30 days, well, maybe that's more important. So that's worth a factor of 10. And maybe the earnings in the last 7 days, maybe that's worth a factor of 100. And maybe the earnings for today, maybe that's worth a factor of 1,000. Did it change my score? No, not in this case. But as you know from watching last week's episode with trying to figure out the algorithm, it's actually really hard to get a pretty good score. And that's because there's so much we don't know. I don't know how many clicks these resources got from the search page. And maybe that's the biggest indicator. Who knows? I'm going to hit the minus sign to close that tab. And then the final section is just units sold. Well, maybe it's units sold that's most important because my back to school goal setting activity, even though it's made less money, it has more units sold, like 4 units sold, 19 units sold in the last 7 days compared with 4 units of the reading strategy. So maybe smaller resources that people are more likely to buy, maybe those rank up higher. This section based on the sales data, the sold today, the earnings, the units sold, that's identical between Game Board B and Game Board A. And that's because it's based on our sales data. The last thing I'll show you is if I click on the Start Here menu and if I scroll down, there are now 2 screenshot tabs. The first screenshot tab is for Game Board A. The second screenshot B tab is for Game Board B. And you can see there are some numbers that I started to put in. And on the right-hand side, at the top of this K column, it says Show Products. There's a plus sign. And if I click on that, this is for your information because your top 20 resources will constantly move. So if you wanted to see that, if you wanted to see what products were in which position, then when you make your screenshot for your own personal use and you hit that print screen button, just select that scorecard with your product titles. And then if you wanted to do something fun, you could go to Google Slides, you could Control V, paste in your scorecard. And then it might be neat if tomorrow you did the exact same thing and you paste it in that scorecard, you could see which products are changing, or maybe you notice patterns. I don't know. For me, when I look at Game Board B, this is where I'm looking for interesting things like, look, this artificial intelligence critical thinking bundle has a conversion rate of 50%. And I can see over here, it's sold 3 times and it's been viewed 6 times. And that makes me think that the keyword strategy of putting artificial intelligence critical thinking bundle, I did some keyword research for that. So that looks like it's paying off. And I'm hoping that as school ramps up, that there's more search traffic on that. The game I'm playing right now is I'm trying to minimize my ad spend costs, my cost per click, and maximize my conversion rate. And if I look at my real conversion rate, right now it's around 1.3% for this resource, which is not ideal. I see people are wish listing it. So are they wish listing it because they know there's a TPT sale coming up in a few days? Or are they wish listing it because I haven't communicated the value of the resource well enough in the product preview? I know that people are looking at the previews because there's 488 previews. If I go to my game board, there's a button here that says view your store sorted by bestseller. So here's the back to school goal setting activity that we're talking about. And if I click on view preview, then my question is, well, is there something I can do in here to increase the value of this resource? This is one of my more updated ones where I'm talking about pain points and solutions, and I'm showing what the product looks like. And then I have upsell links to the bundles. How is my 6Cs bundle doing? If I go back to Game Board B, which resource is that? See, I might have to look at my store to figure it out. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's the 4th resource. So here's the 4th resource. And the conversion rate is 3.3%. If I look at the lifetime stats for that by going to the game board, the conversion rate for the lifetime is 1.74%. So that tells me even though it's low, it is a $50 resource. So the conversion rate is going to be lower. And the fact that my real conversion rate is 3.3%, which is more than what it used to be for the lifetime products, I'm happy with the product preview updates that I made. Can I figure out the real conversion rate with the new TPT dashboard? 100% yes. And if you don't know how to do that, leave a comment and I'll make a video explaining how. But what I like about this Google Sheet tool is I can see all the stats for my top 20 resources in one spot, and they're color coded, and I can look for patterns or outliers. Like, why is this citizenship resource here in position 5, even though it hasn't sold at all in the last week? Well, there are probably other things that are boosting it up. Page views are down, product previews are down, but maybe the product preview rate's 100% because it's had 3 previews and 3 page views. So maybe those factors are boosting it up. If you're interested in the gift card giveaway in the TPT SEO group, if you scroll down, there's a lot of welcome messages. People are joining like crazy lately. And if I scroll down, eventually I find, there it is, the $100 gift card giveaway. And it includes more details and terms and conditions. If you like this deep level analysis of the TPT search algorithm, and if you think it's stuff you're not getting in other TPT channels, please subscribe to the channel or hit that notification button so that you don't miss out on the next episode. Let me know what you think in the comments, if you agree or disagree, or if you heard something different in TPT land, and I'll see you next week with another secret from the TPT SEO search manual. Have a great week. Bye-bye now.